Welcome to Picture the Professor, the sports betting show hosted by a real statistics professor, Cousin Jared. Baseball. We're back with baseball. It's been a month. It's been literally 1 month.
Wow.
Since we had a baseball show.
Yeah, I mean, for me anyway, college football is almost all consuming during the fall, but it's nice every once in a while to dive back in and remember at least your first true love and what carries us through a lot of the football offseason here. So yeah, happy to dive back in and help out here for a day.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting things happening this weekend. A couple of really good reminders. So I think this will be a great show to just kind of remind people heading into this weekend about some key things, and also remind people we're going to try to do some playoff shows. We're going to try to get some playoff baseball in here in the off days here with football. Obviously, I think if you've been here for this any time, you're well aware of kind of the craziness and hecticness in our lives. That's kind of been what's hurt our shows. We hope that next year we'll be able to be a whole lot more consistent with baseball. But yeah, lately it's been a lot of football between college and pro, and that's been going well so far. Baseball's still been going fairly well. We were really hot over the summer. Since then, we've been pretty break even. I was updating the numbers, and it hasn't really been amazing here of late. It's been about keeping the same thing. But we always talk about that. If you have a couple of months like we did in the summer, and then you kind of play break even for a while, that's fine, right? There were no real big long downstretches. Every downstretch we had, we were able to make it right back up. And so as you can see, there are a lot of green on the screen, which is nice. No matter how you break it down, whether it's the A grade sides or totals, whether it's the first 5 of the full game, the A plus grades, again, the A grades that I've highlighted as the ones I like the most have been really profitable for people. And so a lot of good here with baseball. For when we don't have shows, if you want other picks for those college football picks, the NFL picks, Dub Club is the place to be. Our Discord chat has a lot of smart people, a lot of NBA picks. I don't think they've lost a WNBA pick here in the playoffs. I think the crew is 4-0 or something like that, 8-0. I don't even know. It's been good. A lot of details, notes, leans, early projections if you want to make overnight picks and take advantage of some bad lines. The limits are a little bit lower, but for most people that doesn't really matter. A lot of summary. And if you want a top plays only package, we're kind of revamping the plays of the day to be more of a top plays, where on a smaller slate day might just be one play. But on bigger slate days, 2, 3, 4, 5, and college basketball Saturdays, maybe even 6. Yeah. So just a way to focus in on just top plays. If you want that for a little bit cheaper, a lot of options there. That QR code. If you're with us on any of our NFL show here this week, we discuss this, but a lot of promo codes as well there to get half off. Or if you want just the top plays, you want to try it out for just a week, you get the first week for 99 cents. So all those promo codes are there on the screen if you're with us on YouTube. They're also in the show description, so you know what promo code to type in to get the deals there to start you off on Dub Club. Real quick, some reminders. Player-based model, so ratings reflect the current roster. That's really important for today, as we'll talk about with one of the games. Average rates 100 higher implies more runs, so pitchers want to be lower, hitters want to be higher. We are projecting an average game, one game. We do not know what will happen. We did not know last night the Padres would be up 2-0 and then decide to literally pull down their pants, take it up on the field. Stuff like that happens, and that's why we always go off probabilities. 55% winners, they're going to lose 9 out of 20 times. We're going to lose a lot. We're going to win a lot. But the idea is that because we know anything's a good bet at the right price, the right number, we win more when we win than we lose when we lose. Model will give A, B, or C. Love, like, lean. We add the plus. Because, Jared, let's get to it here. Phillies and Nats. Ranger Suarez, a guy I've been talking about for a long time that I have really liked. Number 22 right now of all active starting pitchers in baseball, according to Sideline, versus Trevor Williams, who's had a really great 12 starts. His underlying metrics are a little bit weaker than that. That's why his grades, quote, I'm going to go say quote only, a 96 coming into the season. I think he would have been thrilled with that. But the xFIP at 386 on the season is a little bit closer to where we projected. The ERA is really deflated. But nevertheless, he's had a really great season when he's been healthy. Suarez has been really good. This is a game that the Nats have been kind of playing out the string for quite a while now. We're going to talk about the playoff implications for all the teams in the playoffs that affect these games. But folks, the one thing I want to remind people of real quick before we get to the pick, number one, must win doesn't mean they will win. There are a lot of times we've seen here late in the season where we've seen lines really inflated and we've gone the other direction and said, hey, a team must win this. Well, I know they want to win, but it's not that simple, folks. And teams who don't have anything to play for, these guys are still playing for their jobs. And so sometimes you get some really big value going against it. I mean, you should sometimes to stay away. Just be careful that must win doesn't necessarily mean a lot. The other thing is lineup watches. As teams celebrate, they tend to rest their guys the next day, especially come Sunday. All the wild card teams playing in the wild card round, whether it's the wild card or the third division winner in each league, which will be, I guess, with the Astros and the Brewers almost assuredly on that one. The Phillies have not quite clinched that. They need one more win to clinch that by, and or one Brewers loss. Those teams will probably rest their guys Sunday. The teams with the bye won't. They'll probably try to do something a little bit normal since they're going to have a lot of time off. So just things to kind of consider. These are things also, if you forget on which one, you need a reminder on which one. If you're with us on Dub Club, you get access to Discord, ask us there, ping us, and just say, hey, what's the situation for this? Remind me of this, just so you know if you're interested, if you need that reminder. This game, we're actually going to go first five. We're going to go first five under, based on the strength of these two pitchers, under 4.5. Right now it's minus 116. A grade pick from the model. We love it. That gets it the A plus. Cousin Jared, tell us more.
I like this first five underplay basically because, like you said, Williams has been above average on the year. The Phillies not necessarily needing or wanting anything here necessarily. I think that I don't want to be involved in the second half of this game, because if one team gets down big, then, what are they going to do with their relievers? Nobody really knows. Phillies, no reason to use their big arms in the bullpen necessarily in this game. So I like the first five under. I do not want anything to do with the second half of this game is more or less what I'm saying.
Yeah, the Phillies are in a great spot because they only need either one win or one Brewers loss. The Brewers are playing the Mets, who are still playing very hard. So it's not like the Brewers are playing, the White Sox. First, the White Sox just swept the team. I can't believe I'm saying those words. I guess it was the Angels, so it is what it is. But, it's really unlikely that the Brewers sweep. The Phillies are playing a weaker Nats team. They're likely going to win one. Yeah, it's one of those where they're not necessarily going to throw their top arms if they're down a run. If they're up one run, yes, let's go ahead and get that win, that sort of thing. But depending on the situation, it's like, hey, we'll try it tomorrow. Maybe the Brewers lose, whatever. So there could be a lot of weird things happening late in this game. Even the model, without knowing some of those specifics, doesn't even like the full game under quite as much. It gives it only a B grade. But that first five, A grade, and then like you said, there's that extra cherry on top reasoning that you provided with regards to the starting pitchers here being so strong. Weather-wise, we're looking at a relatively normal day for Washington, mid-70s, a slight breeze, a relatively strong breeze in or across. If it's a little bit more across, that will help things. If it's in, it'll help. It's kind of not doing too much, but we're talking 10 to 15 miles an hour, so relatively strong breeze. The concern's going to be rain, 70 to 80% chance of rain. That's one that is going to update later, so you never know how that's going to play out. Just something to keep an eye on here with regards to the rain. The benefit of the first five is totals. For most books, you have to go a full 9. Even if you've already won or lost it, it doesn't really matter. And so the first 5, we only have to get 5 in. And so if we can squeeze 5 in, easy innings, then we don't have to worry about what the weather does rain-wise. But nothing really, interesting to report other than just that rain possibility, which is if it rains it out, it rains it out. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. Moving on to the Astros and the Guardians. This is one of the big ones that I think I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I think we're going to be closing line value champs on this one, which usually is a bad omen. I think it'll be okay for us here. Model has this at Guardians winning 68% of the time, meaning it should be minus 216. You can get the Guardians at minus 118 right now. That's a full $1 off. And I don't understand why this line is priced this way. The Astros have already, their manager has already said he wanted to give all of their big players back-to-back days off once they clinched the division. They did that for 2 of their guys, Altuve and Tucker. Got Wednesday off, then Thursday was a rest day for the team, no game at all. Today, the plan is to give Bregman and Pena the day off. And that affects the Astros lineup. They don't have a lot of depth hitting wise because, Jared, you and I are Astros fans. We know this watching them. When anybody's hurt, the 7-8-9 starts to get really weak. Jordan's already been ruled out for the rest of the year. So this Astros offense is really good. It's just they're going to be missing 3 of their better bats today. And I don't see them pinch hitting even in a key spot or anything, because the whole point is to keep these guys' legs fresh. So they're not going to go out there and do much. I mean, they're going to literally just chill. This game doesn't mean anything for them. They can't even catch the Guardians for number 2 at this point and get the bye. So they are locked in. Both these pitchers are decent enough. It's really just about the Astros lineup. And now here's the caveat. The Guardians might bench one of their guys. They're not playing for much either. They technically can get the 1 seed over the Yankees. That doesn't mean a whole lot. They might play a full roster. They might not. Even if they don't, this line should be much higher than -118 is the bottom line. Jared, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about the hitting there. I want to talk about the pitching, and obviously a solid pitching matchup here. Blanco's been a little bit slower the second half of the season, throwing a lot of innings for him. For me, as opposed to the last game where I didn't want to be involved in the back half of the game, here I definitely want to be involved in the back half of the game, because the Astros, I do not think, you talked about resting some of their hitters. I don't think they have a lot of incentive to throw out some of their big bullpen arms. They have been worked a lot this season. And the thing about
way too much, especially according to my father, your uncle, who's complained all season to me about how much those back end guys have been used. He's not a huge Espada fan though. That much.
But the thing with the Guardians is it almost doesn't matter how you slice and dice their bullpen. It's good all the way up and down. And so they could throw
did you see they had a bullpen game? They had like a perfect game through like the 7th inning or something.
I mean, the Guardians bullpen has just been unbelievable this year. So even if the Guardians decide they're not going to throw their top arms in the back half of the game, they're still going to have some good pitchers that they're throwing out there. So you talked about the hitting. I like the pitching matchup for the Guardians, especially when you get into the back half of the game. I'm like you. This line just seems off.
Yeah, and to follow up on that point, I do think the back arms of the Astros will get used here, because I don't think that they want them in this series, Rusty, because I don't think they want them for a whole week off. But if you go back and look, and this is where Fangraphs, and folks, I'm a paid member of Fangraphs. If you use it, I encourage you to pay and help keep them afloat. They're a small business like we are. And so, small businesses, they're bigger than we are, but we try to support other ones like that and go ad free on them to help support them. They provide a great service here. They have a roster resource page for every team, and you can see when these guys have pitched. So this is a huge resource that I use. So again, huge shout out to Fangraphs. You can see here that the Astros used Hader, Abreu, and Presley, their top 3 guys, all on Tuesday. They used Hader and Abreu on Sunday. I don't really see them jumping to use them here on Friday. I assume they're just going to throw them all one more time. I think Saturday's the most likely day where that happens, knowing that they start again another series on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure they won't pitch on Sunday. They could go here, or 1 or 2 of them could go here, but I don't expect all 3 of their big guys to be going here today, especially knowing that a couple of those guys already went. They might throw Presley tonight, but I kind of assume Hader and Abreu are more, let's throw them Saturday just as a tune-up type thing. And so there's always a possibility. We don't know what'll happen, but I'm like you. I think it's highly unlikely all those guys go. It might be really unlikely that any of them go at this point. They might actually not throw any of them and just give them bullpen work. I mean, who knows? Like you said, they've been really overworked. So there's a lot of ways this works in our favor between the Astros resting hitters, which may be all that matters. And if it even is close up to that, the reliever situation helps us out as well. So we're going to take the Guardians -118. But folks, always shop around for the best price, even though, and again, you get the A grade thresholds for every single game on Dub Club. If you're with us over there, even though the A grade threshold for this is Cleveland -196, which is basically any number that starts with a 1 is fire away on the Guardians. You still want the best price possible, even if it meets that A grade, because every time you can save a nickel, every time you can save a dime, that's more money when you win and less lost when you lose. So always make sure you shop around. We encourage people to have multiple books in their portfolio, 3 or 4, usually pretty good. You can have a little bit more than that if you want. 10 is probably a little excessive. But hey, if you have that and you're always able to shop around and find a better price, if you have the time for that, great. It can help your bankroll, and we're here about education, helping people make money with good picks and smart bankroll management. If you don't have an account there yet, BetUS, check them out. 125% bonus on your first ever 3 deposits. Still an offer that's happening. Again, that link is here in the show description.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
And then we've got one more pick for you here. We're going to talk about the Royals and the Braves, 2 teams that are still playing for something a little bit different in the situation. The Braves obviously fighting for their lives, especially after those 2 games with the Mets got postponed and now play a doubleheader on Monday before then having to potentially play Tuesday. One of those teams, if not both of them, be playing Tuesday. So that's kind of its own craziness. The Royals have almost clinched the wild card. They still need to win one of these games. The Twins, or they need the Twins to lose one of their 3 games. This is a situation where I have to imagine with the Twins playing a team in the Orioles who's good. I don't know exactly how much the Orioles will be trying there. They don't really have a lot to play for either. But the Royals don't want to leave things to chance because they know they can get swept by the Braves. And so I don't think they're going to be resting anybody. I don't think they're going to be pulling any punches. I think they're going to be going hard to win because they need that one win. And if the Twins lose, great. That solves their problem. They're playing at the same time. Twins a little bit later, actually. But until they clinch that, they really need that because that is not off the table that the Royals get swept here by the Braves. So we think the Royals will be trying. We know the Braves will be trying. So we're going to be able to treat this as a normal game. Max Fried has been fantastic ever since his start of the season where he had one terrible start and one really unlucky start. I was preaching, I think he'll be fine. Sure enough, that's been the case. His ERA down to 3.42, FIP 341, xFIP 335. He projects at a 333. I mean, like the model consistency across all metrics here. But Brady Singer's in a pretty similar boat. 373 ERA, 389 FIP, 361 xFIP, 367 projection. So you're talking about guys that have been pitching a decent amount this year. Combined between them, they have 340 innings, and they've both been pretty good. Fried's a little bit better. This Braves offense is better. This Braves bullpen's better. The Braves are home, but this is priced a little bit too high, maybe a little bit too much of this Braves must win. The Royals will probably be in type theory. We're getting some value here on the Royals. We're not going to take them on the money line, though. We're going to actually take them on the run line, plus 1.5. Price is really decent at minus 125. I was surprised it was that low. In a game that we're not expecting many runs on, the books have this at 7.5. We've got it at 7.2. It's going to be a normal temperature night in Atlanta, maybe a little on the chilly side into the upper 60s. But the biggest thing here is the winds be blowing in at 10 to 15 miles an hour. And so that's going to make this part play a little bit more pitcher friendly with good pitchers, not expecting a lot of runs, makes it just a little bit harder for the Braves to win by multiple runs. We've got the Royals plus 1.5, minus 125. Cousin Jared, why do you like this one?
So we talked about in the other games, like there were definitely things that I wanted to include or wanted to avoid. This just goes back to some of my bread and butter, in my opinion. You've got a low total here and an A grade on a team getting a 1.5, and both teams are motivated to play well. That's basically my entire analysis on this game. I think both teams are going to use their relievers in the optimal way, probably, to keep the game close and try to get that win. So, yeah, I just like getting the 1.5 in a game with a projection of only 7.2.
Yeah, and it's not like the Royals can look at, the Braves and say, well, here's our chance on this night. And if we line up our pitch, because the Braves have like a billion good starting pitchers. They had that insane run, that recently ended where their starting pitchers didn't give up more than like 2 runs or so. I don't know what it was. It was something crazy because they just every single night they've got good pitching. And the Royals do too, of course, not to take anything away from them, but it's not like they could say, oh, well, tomorrow they're throwing this guy. We'll try to win that one. I mean, they're up against it here. And here's the other thing for the Royals, talking about wanting to win. Yes, the Twins might lose tonight, absolutely, but they would love to clinch tonight. Why is that? Because they've got Lugo lined up tomorrow, who's been one of the stronger pitchers in baseball. They've got Cole Reagans lined up on Sunday. They do not want to use either one of those 2 guys. They want to be able to use both of those on games 1 and 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they can come back to Singer on Thursday is what I assume they would do, him being their 3rd best pitcher. If they lose this, the Twins win. Now they've got to throw Lugo. Now that affects things a little bit. If that happens again, now they've got to throw Cole Reagans on Sunday against the Braves team that still wants. They want to get this thing done. I'm not sure they can because, again, Max Fried and this Braves team is pretty good. But again, not expecting many runs. They should be able to hang around. They could lose by 2, of course. There's no locks in gambling, something we've said on this show a lot. But it makes a lot of sense here to back the Royals at this price given the situation. motivation. And that's the thing we're kind of hunting for this weekend. We're hunting for situations where we have a good feel of who's trying, who's not. If not, maybe we're playing a first five, right? We're kind of cherry picking some situations we think that make sense based off of really using our knowledge of these situations. Again, if you're with us on Dub Club, hop over on Discord, ask follow-up questions as to why this, not this, or about what's happening with regards to this team's motivation can be really important this weekend. We won't have to worry about motivation going forward after that, the playoffs, but we will have a bunch of other playoff picks. So again, sign up on Dub Club. A lot of great promotions there. We'll have a bunch of shows in the playoffs. We're going to miss like an entire week. I'm going to be out in Paris. I've ever gone across the pond. So we'll miss like that whole week. But other than that, we'll do some wild card shows. We'll do maybe a couple wild card shows. We'll do a couple, ALCS type things, NLCS stuff, maybe a World Series show, even though it's one pick, just if we feel like it. Some picks here. Big in Dub Club is the place to be for everything. Otherwise, Cousin Jared, parting words for the viewer.
Not a better time than now to get on Dub Club. We already gave out one winner in college football last night, laying the points with Army. We've got another pick going tonight that you can actually get at a better price now than what we picked at on the show.
Maybe a dime better even.
Yeah, and so hop on there now, get that pick. You get your baseball playoffs. You'll get your college football Saturdays, your NFL Sundays. Lots of good reasons to join right now.
Yep, and if you missed the college football pick, the pick for tonight is something we actually covered on show. So you can go back and watch that show and see that. But we've got, we're going to have almost twice as many picks now by the end of it for college football by the time we come to Saturday than what we did on the show. So a bunch of other great picks, a bunch of other information, especially if you're someone who likes to look at information and kind of say, hey, I like this. We can give you some extra tools to put in your toolkit with all these projections and everything that we've got. So check out Dub Club if you have not yet. We, again, thank you for watching. We wish you the best of luck and remind you that you can't eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.